We're going to talk about Norton Commander today. Norton Commander was one of the most popular file managers for DOS from the 80s into the early 90s. Basically, when Windows kind of took over, you no longer needed file managers like this from the prompt screen. So, starting here from the prompt, you would have the C prompt, and then you would list. With directory, you could list your files. It'll show you everything on the C drive. So you can see we have a DOS file, commands, autoexec, config, nc, wp, and 123. So those are all directories where they're listed, where they say dir, nc, wp, 123. So you could go into those. So you could do cd nc. And it takes you to NC. CD is change directory. And then from CD we could list directories again. And there's a way to filter these by file type. So exe files, HLP file, like you could sort it by those. There's a way to make it double rowed across the screen, spread out more so you can see more files at once. But as you can see, as it went so fast, it just chopped the top right off the page. There's no way to scroll back up. So a file manager like Norton Commander would make things a lot easier. Watch this. Okay, so we have a left panel and a right panel. You can see my cursor is up here. So you'd click those double dots. Sorry, not click. Hit enter on those double dots. And you can see now we're right here. This is our same list of files on the C drive. We have NC, which is Norton Commander, WP, which is WordPerfect, DOS files, and then 123, which is a spreadsheet program, Lotus 123, and then on our other column, you can see we can move over here. So we can look in 123 on this side, and we could look in the Norton Commander file on this side. We can go back up. Now you can hit Alt, and that changes your command line at the bottom. You have all these commands across the bottom, which would be F1, F2, F3. So like we go over here, we can go to see our autoexec file and hit F4 for edit, and it takes us into this file. So, and this is actually how I have mine set to open Norton Commander on boot up. It just automatically takes me into Norton Commander. So it sets the prompt, and then it tells you the path, which just takes you to the C drive for DOS, and then it CDs to Norton Commander, and then it runs Norton Commander. Now we hit F10 to back out of this. We're back here. So you can hit Control F1 or Control F2. And those clear out the windows, so it takes you can see that, but you still have Norton Commander running because you can see the command across the bottom. So if you hit Alt and then F1 or F2, you can change the drive. So we're going to look at drive A. Drive A is your floppy drive in this case, and we can see that this is Doom. And so we could do install. And then you would type C. Not enough space on that disk. Well, so apparently we're not going to install Doom, so we're going to press escape to get out of that. That's going to take us right back here. So the great thing about Norton Commander is you have two screens. You can go back and forth from that, both panels. You can even, as you see at the bottom, the prompt changes when I change. And then you can also go down here and you can still type, if I don't screw up the typing, you can still type that and still change the drive the manual way, And you can still do your normal prompts like you normally would, but then you can also use it on the screen in the panel. So we're going to switch back to our drive A. I'll switch back to here. We're going to hit F7 for make directory. We're going to put Doom. Now what we're going to do is we're going to copy this to Doom. Alright, now if we switch over to the Doom file, look, there we go, device.exe. Let's see, and then we can do F8 to delete. Now, the speed at which we are doing this would be so much slower if we had to manually type every command in. This is light years faster. See, we can move files. If we're gonna move this off of this floppy, we're gonna hit F6. We're gonna put it in Doom. See, it left the drive, so it's not on drive A anymore. We go over here, it's on drive C now. We can go back up, go back, we can move it back. We don't have to pick a directory here, we just hit enter. And it's back over there now. So if you pick a file, you can hit that. Let's see, we can read this. This is the install file for Doom. That's F3 to view. And like I said, this is like edit, but only viewing it. And just F10 to get out. Now we're going to go back and we're going to delete this directory, which would be F8, and then you would move that. If you don't want to delete what's inside it, you hit space. That includes that X there, so we definitely want to delete everything in there because there shouldn't be anything in there. And then we hit delete, and see, it's gone now. But this massively speeds up things, especially if you have a hard time remembering all the commands for things, especially right off the bat when you're first getting into DOS. This is a life changer. When you press Alt down, you see the commands change again, and across the bottom we have the left and right panel, which we talked about. We have the view and edit, which we talked about. Then you have compress and decompress, which is like zip files. I think they have their own compression thing. I haven't messed with that yet. But you can compress and decompress files. So you can do F7, which is find a file. You can do F8. You can see history of commands. This barely touches the tip of the iceberg of stuff you can do with this, and all the different functions. We didn't even go across the top for like the files and stuff like that. Newer versions also, I don't remember which version this is, but 5.0 has got tons of functions in it. I would really recommend reading the manual if you have a specific thing you're trying to do with it and don't know how to. But this is totally a game changer for any DOS user. So, thanks for watching.